Hello, my name is Benjamin, but you may call me Jam. Welcome to Pride Month, and welcome to Exercises in Rainbow, a Magic the Gathering video series where we broaden our appreciation of life's diversity and we practice expressing our truest selves through the medium of a trading card game. Inspired by the Magic Presents Pride events held by Wizards of the Coast, during which time any cards that can be commanders are considered to have the partner ability. During the month of June, we will be enhancing our ordinary exercises in blue by shipping our beloved verbose host with a series of other legendary figures in order to experience the joint joys of imaginative storytelling and inventive strategy. Our first deck for the month will not only be homosexual, but homochromatic, as we will be pairing Vinwixit Verbose Host with Unctus Grand Metatect. Unctus is a Vidalcan whose scientific curiosity lured him to join forces with Phyrexia. Boo! In the Magic lore, post-New Phyrexian invasion, he is very probably deceased by now. But in the fanfic universe, we're envisioning a redemption arc, where a chance encounter with a chatty homunculus frees Unctus from the techno-fascists, and instead sets him on a path in life where his scientific urges can be repurposed to retrofitting vehicles for the Girapur Grand Prix, while his monocular partner casts commentary for the race. Now this might seem like a wild justification to pair these two together, but dear viewers, take pity on me. I mean, look at them. A turn 2 commander who doubles our card draw and is backed by a squad of tapping attackers, and a turn 3 commander who draws us a card whenever our blue creatures get tapped?
This is our dream. This is our dream, and we are the dream team. This is our dream.
This is Exercises in Rainbow, so you know how it's gonna go. We've got 34 of those, 15 of these, which leaves 50 spots left. 49 spots left to play with as we please. Now the synergy is really simple. Unctus wants blue dudes rocking a regular head nod, and Vinwixit is typically accompanied by 1.25 dozen dudes who regularly nod their heads. Common sense. Simple common sense. Not all of Vinwixit's crew is blue, but Unctus can pop in a Phyrexian monocle and make it work. Theoretically, we could eschew this entire setup and instead play a fistful of tutors, the very pretty sea lady, and the world's sketchiest pharmacist. The sauce of that strategy provides no pleasure to my palate at the present juncture. So we're going with the head nod sweep instead. To Vinwixit's crew, we will be adding an assortment of cards which synergize generally with Unctus. Anyone who thrives on becoming tapped, becoming untapped, tapping an untapped something, tapping to untap something, vehicles, spacecraft, the construct couple, to whom we can give a blue jumpsuit. We even have a few friends from the Wizard Kindred deck who will be rejoining us. If there's one thing we love to see in fanfiction, it's a cameo appearance. If there's another thing we like to see, it's a threesome with a verbose host, his reformed Phyrexian boyfriend, and a megalomaniacal librarian. Another unique element that this deck wants to work with is the newer magic mechanic of water bending. Yes, I'm choosing to believe that this version of Unctus undergoes a sort of reverse Katara arc, where he first discovers blood bending during his time as a researcher in the city of Lubengrid, and then later, with Vinwixit's encouragement, practices bending regular water and not just blood. So we've got a baker's dozen of bonus water bending cards that we're adding to the mix. We also have one pretty silly combo. It is Pilipala and Paradise Mantle, a perfect pairing for picking up cards, provided that Pilipala is imbued with blue pigment. Yes, it would be simpler to run the world's sketchiest pharmacist. No, the combo doesn't really do anything without Unctus's supervision, but the idea of taking a gorgeous garment designed by Tsubanari and a common scarecrow from Shadowmoor and adorning the latter with the former. Well, to paraphrase the flavor text, it wasn't really expected to slay. Then again, it wasn't really expected to serve either. Now, lest we get swept away by the unfettered selection of card draw, let me remind you that with every activation of the ability bestowed by Unctus, a card must be discarded. So if we end up too crazy pitching all of those rectangles away, especially before Vinwixit has hit max speed, we will stand to benefit from Ein Kleine Recursion Suite. Encouraged, but not mandatory. We've also brought along a smidgen of discard synergy. Not a lot. Mono Blue really only has 1/5 of the self-discard matters category, but we are representing that category a little bit nevertheless. Because it's fun, and it works. At this point, we're nearing the end of the deck's description, which begs the question, what do we do when we near the end of the deck itself? During gameplay. Our win cons will include Jesu, as well as the tremendously silly Labman as portrayed by Omar Ryan. For this deck, their abilities are slightly superior to that of the very pretty Sea Lady, because they don't win on entrance, they win whenever the final card is drawn during the course of the waterfall, so they can just show up and wait. If you're tired of all of these alt-win cards that I like to include because they end the game too quickly, I do have a Rule 0 that I can share with you. We'll get to that later. Also, depending on the vibe, you could ship these two as well, right? I mean, you've got a mysterious, moody, blue badass and a wacky, hyper-intelligent scientist. Is this the mask-presenting equivalent of Undyne and Alphys from Undertale? We can settle that in AO3, as our foremothers intended. For our second deck today, we're keeping it homochromatic. We will play with other colors next week, I promise. But we're taking the relationship dynamic in a different direction with Octavia, Living Thesis. Octavia is an elemental octopus from Arcavios, living cozy right on the Strixhaven campus. There's not a lot of info about Octavia aside from a single article from the WotC website. With 3 sentences of lore, about 48 words in total, we can glean the following facts. Octavia was built rather than born, is sentient, has a healthy ego, and rocks some its pronouns. Is this in fact a Spice 8 Rack reference? We don't know, but we love them anyway. With the exception of his use of he/him, Vinwixit actually has a lot in common with Octavia. Homunculi in the magic lore are also artificially created rather than birthed or hatched. Nevertheless, Vinwixit is depicted in the Aetherdrift stories as being a fully sentient, completely independent being. And canonically, his contract requires, quote, at least one dedicated camera on him at all times. In our fanfic universe, these two will see much of themselves in each other, as well as plenty of complementary strategy. Vinwixit is no stranger to getting his card draw from the casting of instants and sorceries, and if anyone can profit from Octavia's 8/8 bestowing magecraft, it's the 1/1s who run with Vinwixit. Now, will this lead to romance, intimacy, possibly matrimony? That's for the fanfic authors to decide. What I'll provide is my favorite line from the first page of my favorite Remy Charlip children's book. Two octopuses got married and walked down the aisle.
If I could only reach your hand, I'd put a ring upon it too. I'd pull you close and whisper your name.
This is exercises in rainbow, so you know how it's gonna go. We've got 34 of those, 15 of these, which leaves 49 spots left to play with as we please. Octavia needs 2 things, and 2 things only. A scrawny army and a stuffed spellbook. 2 things which Vinwixit readily applies at all times. We've already got the baby queens lined up, so what is in the spellbook? Oh, you know, just a few of my favorite things. Card draw. 20 instants and sorceries. A 5th of the deck. A score of sources for touching our beloved cardstock. Categories are cheap cantrips, free 99, and compulsive research, where we have to discard something, but we want to discard something, so that Octavia eventually gets its 80% off discount. In this deck, the thirsty cards are fabulously flexible. You may have in your hand the correct card type to only discard one card, and still choose to discard two anyways, to fill your graveyard all the faster. Also, shout out to Visions of Beyond. It's so rare that I can justify its inclusion in a deck, but it looks so cool. Therese Nielsen's exquisite artwork, the golden Ultimate Masters Infinity symbol. I know it functions as we have Ancestral Recall at home, but Octavia can actually warrant its inclusion. She's getting to 20 easy. Another pet card that finally gets to function for us is Breakthrough. Draw 4 for 1 mana. With Vinwixit, draw 8 for 1 mana? We just won't get to keep much of it. But again, with Octavia waiting in the wings, those cards don't go in the wood chipper, they go into an investment account. Speaking of other things we don't get to use as often, Spellslinger Synergy. Yeah, Octavia also incentivizes us to play cards which play well with playing instants and sorceries. Fun artifacts like Sentinel Tower will let us blast a bunch of targets when we've got a big turn going on. Seance Board, very underrated mana rock for Spellslinger decks in Commander specifically. And Adaptive Training Post, a 50-cent Tarkir rare that will effortlessly and continuously let us copy all of their instants and sorceries, which is great for Octavia because it promotes our creatures on copies as well as casting. It's a very powerful octopus. We love it. Got a couple of me first counter spells because the counter spell works with Octavia, and then the bonus spell you get also works with Octavia. We also brought people. Dika, Kitsa, Eluge, and Lear all love instants and sorceries. They have been formally invited to the party. Lear might seem like a strange inclusion in this deck, because while we're trying to stockpile our graveyard, he's trying to empty it, and much like a diamond, flashback is forever. Here's the thing. In this deck, Lear is Yawgmoth's will on a dude. You bring out one bare-chested cultists, all of the spells you've loaded in your graveyard get to circle back for seconds. Think it over. While we're serving up some delicious copy pasta, let's look at the spells that do that by themselves. Buyback is obvious, and it's nice if you can afford it. Cipher and Replicate also achieve this. Cipher, because you cast the copy. Replicate, because you're copying while the original spell is still on the stack. And Storm also copies what's on the stack. In case you're curious, I didn't put Brain Freeze in this deck. We're not trying to mill anybody. I don't think we need to. Octavia's turning all of our baby queens into 8/8s. This is the one time that drag gets to be a contact sport. There's not too much ramp in the deck, everything's so ding-dang cheap for the most part. Couple of fun mentions though. Bender's Water Skin's great for when we just want to flick a cantrip out every turn. Retraced Image for a mono blue commander deck basically functions as ramp. Ordinarily, I never feel like it's a worthwhile inclusion, but with Octavia, it helps us meet our octo quota. Plus, it activates the tower and the training post, plus we could copy it a bunch. It has a chance to shine. The last tidbit of Vinwixit X Octavia will be the first sideboard that we're mentioning in this video series. The sideboard is cards which aren't in the core of the deck, but they can be swapped in later. We're using it to address a little elephant in the room. Octavia costs 10 mana, unless you can cheat it out faster with the cards in your graveyard. So, depending on the meta of what your fellow players bring to the table, you may need to be wary of graveyard hate. To help protect your Spellslinger's cemetery, we're including a category of cards that I like to call No! Bad Bojuka Bog. Bojuka Bog being a land that will evaporate target player's graveyard. Not all of the colors have a way to actually interact with triggered abilities like that. Blue is just special and unique, and cool like that. In the event that you don't think you might need these cards, may I offer as an alternative a quartet of cantrips which bestow some type of evasion to your creatures. The baby queens don't really need this, most of them have either turned intangible or taken to the skies by themselves. But if you're fighting someone who brought flyers to the function, or spiders, never forget that there are spiders in this game, there have always been spiders in this game, these will help you slip past them. Or, you know who doesn't have evasion? Our commanders. You can give Octavia flying. Or Shadow. Or both, I guess. Heck, if his non-binary cephalopod spouse is there, you can make Vinwixit unblockable and also increase his power and toughness to 8. Big game show host! Links to both decks will live down in the video descriptions. If you have any suggestions for how to improve these decks, I have a mindset of learning and curiosity, as well as an open invitation for y'all to write me some comments. If you do like these decks, but you can't get away with having the double commanders, you can just shuffle Vinwixit into the 99. The rest of the strategy should work out fine. It'll be okay. That concludes this episode of Exercises in Rainbow, but don't worry, we will be back next week with more. I'm trying my best to do one a week for the whole month of June. We will probably revert to bi-weekly posts after that, and either way, you may still call me Jam, and for those of you who are watching and or listening, I thank you for your time and attention. Mwah. Still want to hear that Rule 0 of mine? According to the comprehensive rules, rule number 104.1 states that a game immediately ends when a player wins. In 1v1, that's fair and reasonable. In a 4-player game, it feels different. But you don't have to play that way. One of my favorite Rule Zeros is what I call the Mario Kart rule. And rather than have the entire game stop when someone wins, play can continue until each player has crossed the proverbial finish line, or has been hard stopped from being able to do so. This means that you can play Alt-Win cards, and instead of abruptly ending the game, you achieve first place. Maybe the Knuckles player wins after that, and they get the silver medal. Maybe the Phage player's about to swing in for super duper death touch, but before Phage connects, you snatch their Lich's Mastery, flicker Phage, and then inform them that, in some sports, a pewter medal is awarded to the contestant coming in 4th place. My point is, all rules are made up. Just because Jeff Goldblum rewards us when we stop drawing doesn't mean the rest of the table needs to stop playing.